Hey church, how's it going? My name is Brendan, I'm the youth pastor here, and I just hope that you had an awesome Christmas. Christmas is just such a good time to remember, man, Jesus came. I think us in 2020, in like this late century, 2,000 years past when Jesus came, it just feels like, yeah, Jesus came. He was here on earth. That's not a big deal. But it is just such a good thing to remember and celebrate that the Lord came to offer us salvation. And so we just hope your Christmas was blessed, and we hope that you had a great time. But I imagine for most of you, this Christmas was different than other Christmases, right? You probably went and did more online shopping. You probably had to wear a mask when you were in stores. If you weren't wearing your mask in stores, you were breaking their rules. You probably should have worn it. But you probably also didn't meet with people like normal. You probably didn't have all the family around like you normally do, because 2020 was weird, right? Like, let's not kid ourselves. Let's not pretend like, yeah, 2020 is just a little bump in the road. It was a wholly different year. And so what we want to do today is give you an opportunity to look back on 2020. And one of the things about 2020, at least for me, is it kind of feels like a blur. It kind of feels like, man, we've been in this season since March, and it just kind of, we don't have the usual rhythms, right? Normally kids are home for Christmas break and then they're home all day rather than being at school all day. But it's 2020, kids were home all day anyway, right? Or this summer was different. We didn't have certain things, and you probably didn't go on the summer travel plans that you anticipated. And it's just so easy for us to look back on 2020 and just kind of this one negative blur, right? So today what we want to do is take some time and dive into what did happen in 2020. Look back on God's faithfulness amidst a weird, crazy season. And we use that phrase, God's faithfulness, all the time in Christianity, and we got to ask the question, what does that mean? How do we know God is faithful? Well, as we look into the Bible, we see that God was faithful time and time again. He showed up. He was there for his people. And so we got to ask the question, where was God in 2020 for us? And so today we have an opportunity to dive into what we're calling the Reflections document. Below in the description of this video, or if you're checking this out from the email, there's a link in the email for you to spend some time talking through things with your family. Whether you do this by yourself or with your spouse or with your family, maybe you do it over Zoom with your life group. This document is designed for you to go through and process the wins, the losses, the hardships, the celebrations of 2020. And all along the way, see where God interceded in those things and kind of intermixed with our lives that felt kind of just blah at times, right? And so we have this great opportunity for us to do this. Let me just say personally, Katie and I do this every year. We've had the opportunity to do it on road trips, which has been really fun. We've had opportunities to do it just sitting in our living room. It's a great tool for you and your family to dive in and look back, because it's so easy to forget. It's so easy to not remember what God did or what life was even like. Like, do you remember like when quarantine first hit? It was like just such a blur and so many crazy things, and it rained all week here in San Diego. It just felt dark and heavy. It feels like forever ago, and then it feels like just took a nap for an afternoon, and then here we are in December, right? It just doesn't really make sense. So we're excited about this document. We're excited for you to spend time digging in with your family or whoever you're going to do this with. And so we want to offer this to you, and we also want to invite you at the end of the document, there's an opportunity to build an altar. And we're not talking about going to Home Depot and spending thousands of dollars on lumber and stone and all this stuff. We're talking about remembering. And here's where this idea comes from. In Joshua chapter 4, the whole nation of Israel had just crossed the Jordan in a miraculous way. And here's what it says, Joshua chapter 4. When the whole nation had finished crossing the Jordan, the Lord said to Joshua, "Choose 12 men from among the people, one from each tribe, and tell them to take up 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, from right where the priests are standing, and carry them over with you, and put them down at the place where you stay tonight." So Joshua called together the 12 men he had appointed from the Israelites, one from each tribe, and said to them, "Go over before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone on his shoulder according to the number of the tribes of Israelites, to serve as a sign among you." And here's where it's super key for us. "In the future, when your children ask you, 'What do these stones mean?' tell them that the flow of the Jordan was cut off before the ark of the covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever." What an amazing story to get to tell your kids and your grandkids when they go, "What do all those rocks mean?" It's because, man, this is when God did something amazing. And so we invite you at the end of this to build an altar with your family. Maybe you paint a photo together. Maybe you do a craft. Maybe you build something in the backyard. Maybe you just write it up and store it away. But we just hope that it's a memory for you. It stands as an altar to say this is what 2020 was like. This is what God did in 2020. And so we're really excited for you to dive into the grace, the bad, and the ugly of what 2020 was. And we hope that as you reflect, that encourages you into this new year to move forward with the Lord.